So being in distribution with your background, when you work for someone like Bitdefender, who might have not been as well known in the market as then, how do you establish a channel for an emerging vendor? I know they've been going a long time, but not as well known. And then how do you decide which sort of distribution partners to go with? Because you'd obviously had a history. You were ex-Arrow yourself.
Yeah.
So was that going to just continue a relationship, or did you think actually we're going to try and establish a channel in a different way?
The Arrow thing didn't come around for probably about 18 months.
Right.
To be honest, we inherited a channel, inherited distribution. It was steady, I think. We had loads of partners doing small business. We were about 1,000 partners on our books, probably a couple of hundred of them transacting 15, 20K, that kind of thing. So it was a vast channel transacting one up from consumer almost, the small businesses, the little SMBs. So for me, it was about understanding who we are, right, and who we want to be and how we're going to get from A to B and what distribution can add to support us to do that. Because I think too often you can just go, right, vendor A, B and C, go to Arrow, go, right, well, we want you to get us into Softcat, BT, CC, all these kind of things. And I think it's very easy to go, right, we just want to get into all these partners, as many as possible, and sell loads of stuff.
Yeah.
If you haven't got, firstly, the brand is important with that, because you've got a lot of explaining to do. The doors aren't open. You've got to go around banging a lot of doors. Secondly, if you haven't got 10 million to put in front of them at 25% margin, they're not interested straight away. So it's the definition of building the channel. So we found that we want to work with a handful of partners and fundamentally get that kind of mass of partners into a proper pyramid. And my team will tell me I love pyramids, like, so it's a much easier way to describe things, but get that into a proper pyramid where you've got the partners that we're working with very closely at the top. Keep looking after these, but that's where we want distribution to add value and support. And I think it was almost one door at a time. Get that door open, get that partner invested in us, believing in us as a technology, win some deals together, make sure they're healthily remunerated, move on to the next partner. And that was how we did it, and at the same time as our brand grew, so you'd start to see customers asking the partners for us at the same time as
which helps
massively
helps
massively, and we're coming at it from this angle. We then invested in the last 18 months significantly in an enterprise sales team. So we got 5. We had 2 when I started.
Wow. Yeah.
In fact, we had 2, and then we turned them into TAMs, so they were doing a bit of channel, bit of sales, so that they never really got to do either one particularly well. I'm not a fan of the TAM thing, in my opinion. So we had, pure sales, pure channel. And the thing that we're doing well is there's always this channel versus sales, locking horns all the time. We're working quite well as a team. Our AEs now kind of go, I know why I've got to give this partner deal reg on this deal that I found. I know why I've got it, because in 6-12 months' time, they're going to start bringing us more things and they start to see the value. So we've gone from that now, where we've also gone from like me in the channel to 3 channel managers and me. All those 3 channel managers have got 10 dedicated partners that are all engaged with us now, that have all got pipeline going into next year that is significant, that have all got marketing plans, that are all asking us to be present at their events. So that's how we've seen the channel mature in that sort of relatively short space of time, and it's really exciting for next year as well.
How do you decide who to partner with? So, example, when I speak to distributors, they want sole distribution. They want to say, actually, we're going to do with Bitdefender, we're going to take you across Europe or whatever it is. Now, you're running Europe or Northern Europe and Middle East. How do you decide around distribution? Would you give sole agency, not sole agency, that's recruitment, sole distribution rights to a company, or would you just do it all on sort of regions, or how do you decide, John?
I think at the moment, the way I inherited it, we've kind of let distribution crack on with it.
Yeah.
That hasn't been, and it's probably maybe the wrong way around. You should probably get that piece of that keystone right first of all. But we had what I would call good distributions in situ doing a good job, and in each region that I have, we have a couple minimum. In EMEA as a whole, it's a bit of a patchwork quilt of distribution, and I think certainly I know my French colleague and German colleague are trying to rationalise the number of distributors they've got out there. It's slightly different because certain distries only sell in certain regions in other parts of Europe. In the UK, I like having a couple of disties. I think the business will warrant it, certainly going into next year. Mm-hmm. But in other countries where maybe you're not doing huge numbers, I think having 2 disties means you've got 2 disties not making enough, either one of them, to be interested in positioning you going forward. So it's certainly something we would look at in the smaller regions where the revenues are smaller and our sales teams are smaller, to have a sole distie. I think there's value in that. I think they could probably bring more to the table, but also we'd be more value to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's something you underestimate as a vendor. You go and go, well, you're our distie, sell our stuff.
Yeah.
Why? What's in it for us? We've got 20 others that we're making more on. It's easier, and we already know how to do that.
And do you get that sort of pushback a lot? Because I hear that a lot from distribution, that they suddenly they don't get treated that well from some of the vendors. Some of the vendors are like, yeah, just sell our stuff. You get 2%, 3% margin. Get on with it. But what makes a good relationship with a vendor?
We've got to treat distribution like our best partner.
Right.
Like they're our most, and we don't.
Why? Why don't we?
Because we go, you're getting your margin. What are you doing? because there's that kind of attitude towards them where they're going, well, you're there doing that thing, and this is, I'm guilty. Everyone's guilty of this in vendors' world. We kind of, when a big deal's on the line and we get deal by deal, we look at it case by case. On this, what have you done on this deal to earn this margin today? It's not, it's not on. We need to take some more off it. You don't look at the rest of the 12 months where they've done these events, these campaigns, they're linked in, they're pushing you out there, they've got an account manager on the accounts and they're transacting 100 orders at 20 quid just to get it. We don't look at that enough as a vendor. So I think you have to treat the distie like your most important reseller partner. You've got to make sure you're in there. You've got to make sure you have a relationship. You've got to make sure they like working with you. Because otherwise, they could just go, we'll transact it, but you're not getting anything else out of us.
No, fair. Talking of like working with you, I've noticed recently, Cisco being one of them actually. There was lots of trials on the 4-day week recently, and lots of now partners are going on that. There was an article in CRN a couple of weeks ago about some of the smaller partners are going to do it. Highgate Solutions, Cloud9 are doing it around this 4-day week. Now, I'm going to be honest, I can't tell if that's one, they're just doing it to attract better candidates, thinking, actually, we only work 4 days a week. It's going to be an attraction to attract caliber because we're all struggling to get the candidates into the business. Or it's actually for the benefit of the business and well-being. Because some of the feedback I've been having, so I did a bit of digging into it, was like, actually, some of these companies are seeing that if they give people 4-day weeks, they don't have sickness, they don't have problems, they don't have mental health issues. But I'm also seeing and it's also a good PR to attract candidates. What's your view on this 4-day week?
It's an interesting one because there's another one that's going around more and more, which is the unlimited annual leave thing that we're seeing. And I think it's unquestionable that some of that is PR, right? Yeah. Some of that is to make you an attractive place to come and work. I mean, if that 5th day happens to be on end of quarter, I wonder how many of those people will actually be allowed to take that day off anyway. I think our industry, certainly within channel, the guys don't do 9 to 5 Monday to Friday. They never have. I don't think many companies do. I think if you're running a rigid structure, offering a 4-day week might offer some value. But me saying to my guys, you've got a 4-day week, great. Some of them will utilise it. Some of them take more time off. Anything that endorses better mental health and less stress, I'm 100% on board with. But I still think they'll do the hours. I think those 4 days, the risk is then those 4 days become 12-hour days. So it's as broad as it is long from that perspective. I think if you give, the way I see it is if you hire good people and you let them do their job, and if they do that in 3 days, good. If they do that, if they need 5 days, that's up to them. Everyone's slightly different in how they manage their own well-being. But it's nice PR. If my company did it, I'd feel like they were attempting to care about us, but it wouldn't, we've all got sales targets. Mm. So unless they're going to reduce the sales target by 20% to coincide with the less working by 20%, then it doesn't really resonate, I think, in the kind of channel world, perhaps.